kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Hello race fans and welcome to the Palm Rat Road and Plate Truck Series here from Donington Park Racing Circuit. It's a nice cool 65 degrees out tonight. Sitting around 72 degrees track temp, and I've got to tell you, I've seen some of these guys blasting around here and setting some quick times. And we're in for a treat here. 18 cars in the lineup tonight. Gonna have a sprint race to start and then the feature directly after. And joining me in the booth tonight is none other than Mr. Matt Metler.
Thanks for having me up here in the booth with you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, just like my co-partner said, the nighttime is the right time for Road and Plate in prime time as we get set to watch these guys torch this racetrack across the pond here in the UK. 18 drivers racked, stacked, ready to rock and roll tonight. Going to do a little short, old school Sunday night or Friday night shootout here with our heat race. Then we do something really cool. We invert the field. We're going to put the guys that finish up near the front in the back and watch them fight and claw their way to the front. Want to thank everyone for joining us here on SRM as that pace car now begins to roll.
Yeah, and I certainly love being here. Aaron Smith, always the guy to watch around here. Blazing fast and very hard to catch, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how far he can make an advantage here at the start of this event, and then have to work his way through the traffic. So, I mean, and in traffic and patience is going to be a big thing to have tonight, you know, and it's not easy to have the patience.
No, it certainly takes a discipline, and a lot of these drivers in this field tonight certainly have had that. They've showcased it all season long. And the other thing is, these guys are so good in the fuel mileage department, the strategy. There's so many things I cannot say about this series, but you're right. You're going to have to take the patience, know when to pace yourself, and then know when to go. And that fuel mileage could also be coming to play as green flag in the air as these V8s come roaring into life. No surprise, the 70 leads him down into turn 1.
Yes, already cleared himself and pulling out to a 0.3 of a second lead here on the group. James Moore follows in suit, and everybody seems to have kind of single filed out already, getting behind him and just kind of trying to just work their way and pick off these drivers one by one.
Well, the other thing is, too, you can also use this as a mock test session, if you will. I know we had some practice, but now you're really getting a chance to see what your truck is going to be like out there in race conditions as we watch that Chevrolet start to pull away from that second place machine just a little bit coming into the DRS zone.
Oh, and it looks like we have an issue for Samuel Stoner. Finds himself turned around pretty quickly there.
Yeah, it looks like he had just a little bit of a miscue there getting into the corner. That truck's really loaded up there on the suspension, and it doesn't take much as we go to the SRM instant replay on board.
Yeah, it looks like he tried to throw it down in there and then almost looks like he got on the brakes and it kind of sent him around. Ooh, gets a little bit of a shot there towards the end, too.
Yeah, a little bit of an aggressive move there. He's seen an opening. He went to go ahead and put his truck there, and it seemed like a combination of catching that sausage curbing along with jumping on the binders there, that back end just stepped out to lunch on him. He did get a moderate shot there near the end, but the good news is this is the heat race. Remember, we still have the main event following this one.
Yeah, and while we were checking in on Samuel Stoner, Powell had an incident as well as Matt Schlosser just in front of him. They both had incidents as well.
Yeah, Matt Schlosser here having a great run thus far. And right now he's just out there. He's just getting his rhythm down, his timing, cadence, his braking zones, understanding what what their race trucks out there are doing. And I think that's a way a lot of these drivers attack this race as well. Obviously, you want to go out there and win, but this is ultimately also a great learning session to see and kind of learn what your other competition will do in a race time environment, and you can certainly use that and take that to the main event after this one's all said and done.
Yeah, we saw Benson Weaver there get a little off-roading. I know it's a truck, but you want to try to stay off that dirt and sand there.
Hey, sometimes it's hard not to go Baja mode.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's very easy around here, too, because there's no walls here that are within close proximity of the track. Once you go off, you're along for the ride out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, alone on a beach somewhere. I'm telling you, if I was on this racetrack right now, you'd think I was reshooting Baywatch. I'd be in the sand so much. And I'm not kidding. I mean that wholeheartedly. Wow, these guys have so much control and so much skill, especially on these road courses. Obviously aren't meant for NASCAR series race trucks, but just showing you if you have the skill set, it can be done, and they do a darn good job of it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this series so much is that, you know, it brings the normal everyday, you know, oval tracks and a couple of the road tracks, you know, like Coda and Watkins Glen and all those that we do see these NASCARs on. It throws them to these ones that we don't necessarily see them on and see how they can, you know, navigate around tracks that, you know, you have no notebook on it unless you, as we see there, the 89 of Derek Fouquet loops it around trying to get it back straight, and that's not an easy thing to do. Gets just a nail. I can't even speak fast enough. Tom Wendt going to collide with him there.
That was definitely the don't stain your ride, use Tide moment of the race thus far. That was literally a couple inches the other way from being an epic collision. You know, you mentioned not being able to get going. A lot of times on these types of circuits, once you overheat these Goodyears, the Dr. Feelgoods become feel bads, and rear grip it becomes a problem. So that could be one of the reasons why he was having a tough time getting that truck to bite when he was trying to take off there.
Oh, and as I go to the onboard cam, it looks like we had Benson Weaver had a little bit of a moment as we are going 3 wide down the front stretch. Oh, and looks like the 109 machine finds himself spun around and in the middle of the grass.
Yeah, the 109 machine took off like a rocket-powered lawn dart across the track there. Not sure if he had some help or if he just kind of missed the corner there.
Yeah, and I was about to say that, you know, we were going 3 wide, and Matt Schlosser found his way through there, and Samuel Stoner also finding his way up from 18th now, you know, after that self-spin. So these two moving up through this field rather quickly, trying to gain everything they can get, and, you know, I believe the inverts at the top 10. I feel like
That
that's
is
what I remember.
correct.
Perfect.
That is correct. We invert the top 10, so, you know, if I was in the series, why not play a little bit of strategy? Try to, you know, work your way, you know, your finishing order there to try to help take an advantage and start near the front of this, especially if you don't have the pace to contend with some of these experts up near the front. But Samuel Stoner's no slouch. He knows how to get it done. He had a very rare miscue. And you see him out there now just lighting this place on fire as he continues to overcome that and climb back through the field.
And exactly, I mean, he could go from worst case scenario to best case scenario rather quickly by getting up to that 10th place slot of, you know, just behind the 32 of Sean Johnson. And all he's got to do is get around the 400 machine of Matt.
And you know, we always say catching him is one thing, passing them is another. But you're right, he has almost put himself in that position. The only thing that might not be working in his favor, and that's the amount of time we have left remaining in this one. If you look at their lap times, the 65 is quicker. I just don't know if he's going to have enough time to get there unless mistakes are made.
And I mean, at this track, it's certainly possible to see these guys make a mistake. I mean, we see these guys trying to push every ounce of performance out of these trucks. And that's kind of what this heat thing, you know, is for, is figuring out what your truck can take and, you know, if you can push it as hard as you are.
That's a great point. Well said. You know, I talked about the tires getting hot earlier. The 65 of Stoner is really getting to see how that situation is going to impact his truck, you know, in the feature event, because we know he locked him up, he slid him, and it looks like he's able to go out there and still put down very competitive lap times as he gets a little bit of broadcaster's curse there. Sorry about that, bud. Has a slight off track, but he gets it pointed back in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just got to kind of take a little bit of a breath. You know, he sees the opportunity there in front of him, just under 3 seconds ahead of him. And, you know, it's going to be a hard thing to track back down, but with what he's been running, I don't see why he can't get there if he has perfectly clean. And again, I say perfectly clean, but, you know, if he has the types of times that he was putting down, I think he can get there and maybe pull a little bit of Austin Dillon. No, I'm just kidding. Not the Austin Dillon, but certainly give him a little bit of a nudge to get that 10th place position.
Yeah, believe me, these guys certainly believe in a little rubbing is racing, but they have some class to them. In fact, you know, a couple weeks back, they had this 5 or 6 wide entry on the green flag into turn 1, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to wipe out everybody. And not only did no one even breathe on each other, they all made it through into turn 1 and carried on. And I couldn't believe what I just witnessed. I remember it like it was yesterday. But the point being, a lot of respect here in this field. Look, Rubbin's racing, but you won't see one of these guys or girls just clean someone out for the spot.
Yeah, and that's always one of those things where you're just like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. Or you have that, I might have done it a little rougher, you know, kind of feeling when you're watching from up here. But when you're not in that driver's seat, it's definitely a different point of view.
Oh, 100% for certain. You know, a lot of times us being up in the broadcast booth, you think, hey, I can go out there and run with these guys. Then you actually get the opportunity to strap in, and it's a very humbling experience when you really get to experience just how good these drivers are. As we see there, the 400 machine, the slide going to give the preferred position here. Oh, he doesn't. I thought he's going to get out of the way coming through those S's, and now it's going to be a drag race here. John Force special style, 2x2 as we get into the braking zone.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, you know, going back up front towards our leader, who's got about a 5-second lead over James Moore now. Aaron Smith is one of the most talented racers that I've seen in recent memory. I forget where and what league it was that he was racing, but he was in it, and I was like, you know, always look out for Aaron Smith. I was like, I know it's an oval. I know it's not a road course, and I've only seen him on road courses. But Aaron Smith is a wheelman. He knows how to drive a car, truck, probably even knows how to run a go-kart. I mean, he could probably race a tractor.
Yeah, Evans, you know, like you said, no doubt, extremely talented, all-around, well-versed sim racer. And I noticed that early on in this season, just by how poised and how calm and collected he is. He's almost like a robot at times. Very rarely does he make a mistake. He doesn't crack under pressure. And, you know, anytime he needs a little help, let's say in the fuel mileage department, or a caution to go his way if he does need one, he always seems to get the brakes as well. He just always has the right mojo. As we see that Dustin Baldy 4-night machine go off course there, but he's got it righted back in the right direction again.
Yeah, and I was about to lead into that the three of them were nose to tail fighting for that, you know, any kind of spot that they could grab. And I was certainly hoping that they could, you know, kind of mix it up a little bit. But, you know, Brian Molitor is all over the back of Jay Bast right now.
Yeah, Molitor will mow you down as it wear you out. I mean, he will be relentless, just like the Intimidator of old. As we go to the onboard camera here, looking back here at the tight battle. There he opens up the door on the inside, and he's going to...
Right there was what I was going to go with is, you know, the Intimidator type, you know, feeling as, you know, you start watching that rear view mirror more than you are out the front windshield. And at a road course, that's even harder to do than, you know, your Daytona ovals and stuff that these guys have run on earlier this year. You know, you're not able to watch that mirror and know that you're still in the same place that you were when you look back out the front windshield.
Yeah, I mean, that's all part of it, right? You sit, you work off the back of that race truck, and you want to make that driver feel the pressure. Make him look up into that mirror. You win the chess match. You win the battle. He makes a mistake, and then you capitalize. You know, me, a lot of times if I'm in these situations, I'll actually turn my mirror off sometimes because I don't want that temptation to look in the rear view mirror. But that's a great point, and certainly one of the tricks in the toolbox to the fore when he's trying to get a position out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and you can see now he's even pulling up on the 888 of Phil Keck right now. And him and Jay Bast are on a roll right now. They are definitely moving and grooving here. And I also want to look over and give a shout out to HSF. He was with me last night for the Racers Elite race that I was on. And it's good to see a name that you remember from a night prior. I want to thank him for tuning in. I want to thank everybody else for tuning in as well here at SRM for the Palm Rat Golf Road and Plate Series.
Yeah, certainly cannot do it with all the partners, the league sponsors, all the men and women behind the scenes there, and also the fans that show up to these live YouTube streams cheering their favorite drivers on. We love to see that. The drivers certainly appreciate it, and why not? These, the level of competition is always absolutely high octane when these boys and girls strap into a race truck.
Yeah, and I mean, the more that people, pay attention and watch us and find favorite drivers, which is awesome. You know, it gives you a new level to fan entertainment for racing. Being able to just tune into any of these leagues that we put on, and me as an avid fan of racing, I could sit here and watch every single broadcast every single week and pull for guys as if they are the Chase Elliott's or Ryan Blaney's, or whoever you may pull for in the real life. It just gives me that same kind of feeling.
No, it really does, and that's a big testament to iRacing and just how realistic their simulators and in their service has gotten over the years. The technology has caught up with it, and if you have enough money, there's a lot of things that even your professional drivers in all different walks of racing, Formula One, NASCAR, World of Outlaws, Open Wheel, they'll all tell you it's very close to the real deal. We may not be able to replicate the heat and the temperatures yet. I'm sure someone can figure that out in the G-forces, the fullest extent. But, if you can be competitive in iRacing, especially within a great, amongst a great elite group of competition like these guys, we've seen time and time again where it translates to real life.
Absolutely. And back, that gave me
Whoa,
a little bit of
what a
scare there.
save by...
So that I believe is the end of our... I'm trying to see here because this is the checkered flag. Yep, yeah. So he has won the sprint per what I'm looking at on our timing. I think he was having a little bit of fun there.
Yeah, that was a celebration. I was quick to jump there, only because I
certainly when you
see
a truck sliding sideways, you definitely get a little bit of feeling.
But as you were saying, checkered flag in the air. Hey, no surprise here. Another win for that Chevrolet Silverado. Number 70, of course. And, he's almost used to it. He's obviously going to invert the field here. He's going to start in that 10th place position, and then he's going to have to work his way. And, this is one of the last times I get to watch these guys, up here in the broadcast booth. Want to thank them for being on with us here for this season at SRM. But it's just it's special to watch how he is able to work through traffic and save tires and all the great things that he does as we get stacked, ready to rock and roll here now for the main event live on SRM.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little complicated for him to get through this field later. But, you know what's not complicated?
Hit me, brother.
Looking for golf clothes that fit your style. Because you could go through Palm Rat Golf. It's designed to allow you to move seamlessly from the office to the fairway and to hanging with friends and family. Visit palmratgolf.com today to browse their collection of fine golf apparel, including polos, pullovers, pants, and more. And I've got to tell you, I've had a few of them. They're light, they're comfortable, and I can go out for a night of festivities with the boys, and then wake up the next morning still in the same polo and go play a round of golf, and it still looks just as good as it was when I went to bed in it.
And that's the difference when you're getting a high quality product. Obviously, I mean that's Palm Rat Golf, right? They have all the solutions. They also have that hometown advantage as well. Obviously, want to thank them for their partnership. And obviously, if you go stop in and see them, let them know that you heard about them right here live on their broadcast as well. But you cannot do it without the partners and sponsors. And obviously, Palm Rat Golf, a big part, of their series. And folks, you're looking for some new swag, new gear, make sure you go online and check them out.
Yeah, and speaking of sponsors and supporters, we're going to go ahead and click off for just a quick second. Shout out to a couple of the people that we need to, and take a quick break. And we'll be back just shortly. This is SRM with Matt Metler and Jordan Brockell. back here for the Palm Rat Golf Truck Road and Plate Series. We are here at Donington Park Raceway here for round number 9 of 10 for these boys. And it's been pretty interesting. Aaron Smith was out in front for the entirety of the race. And you know, now we're going to see the invert where he's going to start 10th here with Laura Wiseman. She's going to get all the way up to the front now. And I got to say, I'm a little biased when it comes to that 84 number, as I love to run that 84 number. And if I join a league and I don't have access to the 84, I'm leaving. Simple as that.
Open shut deal. Hey, do you have this number? If not, all right, I'll see you next season, or I'm going somewhere else.
Exactly. And you know, I've got a special number design and everything for it. So if I can't race that 84, I'm not racing. I'm a stickler.
Fair enough.
You know?
It's almost like when Earnhardt Jr. went to drive for Hendrick Motorsports, and he said, "I got to be able to paint the side skirts. The side skirts have to match the car. If not, no deal."
Exactly.
So Hendrick said, "Sure, not a problem."
There's just some things that you gotta have, and the 84 number is mine.
Well, you know, the 83 and 84 is holds a special place in my heart. Back when Team Red Bull was in the sport with AJ Allmendinger, Brian Vickers, had a great opportunity to work with them on the NASCAR side of things. A lot of great memories, and believe me, that 84 number resonates with me as well.
Yeah, we're gonna see that pace car head off, and these racers are gonna head off and get this thing underway. As Laura Wiseman's gonna lead them down towards that first turn, as we are green here from Donington Park.
Laura Wiseman with a heck of a start there. She gets hard on the gas and pushes it through the floorboard. And look at this. She is actually driving away from the competition. She set that truck so hard into turn 1, she about put 3 to 4 car lengths on the rest of the field. That was absolutely wild watching her come out of the gate. And in fact, you can see she is attacking this race course right now.
Yeah, and if it's anything like me, my first thought would have been, I need to get through this corner as fast as possible, because I don't want to get run over. Because, you know, somebody's going to try to send it just as hard as she did, and they're not going to have the space to do so.
You know, this could be the game plan of go hard and as fast as I can early. Obviously, she knows there's a lot of talent in this field, so try to get away from him. But Schlosser has other ideas as he's taking a peek, getting down to this hard braking zone. There he goes. He's looking to the inside.
Yeah, and then Samuel Stoner trying to follow in suit, but not quite able to get by Laura there, and he does a little bit of a crossover to try to get to her outside, and she's going to be able to carry enough speed down the front stretch to get through. Oh, yeah, Stoner throws it in there on the outside.
Talk about living on a prayer, Bon Jovi style from Stoner with the Hail Mary on the high side. He almost was able to pull it off, but that's going to cost him just a little bit. I thought maybe Ott was going to be able to take advantage of that too.
Oh, and Laura goes off.
Oh, the 84 head goes off track. And that's going to open up the opportunity for Stoner. But Wiseman has that truck under control. A lot of track position she's going to lose here, but one heck of a save by the driver of the 84.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think she lifted at all. I think she said, screw it, I've got to go. And I've got to commend her on that, because she just said, screw it, foot to the floor, and I'm not lifting until I'm back on the track.
And sometimes that's the right thing to do. You know, you got to keep your foot in it. Sometimes you slow down, you end up getting taken out.
Oh, 100%, because once you merge back on, everybody else is still going as fast as you were, and you kind of get run over. But she said, what's the need for asphalt? This is a truck.
I'll tell you what, Schlosser is absolutely driving away from the field right now. He's seen how the 84 took off, and he decided, hey, it's time to go, and he is fired up inside that Silverado. 2.56 second advantage over Stoner in the 65.
Yeah, and I mean,
you can tell he is out there getting it right now with the way that truck is ripping right and left.
Yeah, and I mean, he's out there. He ran the fastest lap of the race at a 109.26. So he's definitely flying out there. But just a little bit further back, I can see this man already up 3 spots in just a handful of laps. And, you know, he's just picking them off one by one. Aaron Smith. And that's just kind of what I expected. You know, he methodically finds his way through these guys. And you know, that's what he's been doing all season long.
You know, he's a great game manager. And I don't know how many times I've seen him just, like you just said, he picks the competition off one at a time. He doesn't force it on the racetrack. He waits for an opportunity. You know, that's all. So he has the reserve. He's thinking about being safe out there on the racetrack. He does so many different things at the same times. That's just, it's incredible to watch, because you would think after driving, starting back here in 10th and driving to the point, you're going to have to use some tire. You're going to have to use your truck up a little bit. Not this guy. And he's done it time and time again as we're on board here, as he starts to dial in on the back of Moore, who currently occupies that 6th place position.
Yeah, and I love this shot because it truly just shows you how quickly things happen. Just as I say that, the 12 kind of has a little bit of a checkup there for the 4 of Brian Molitor. But looking to the inside here now of James Moore, and going to make that pass there and set his sights on the 4 of Brian Molitor. And, you know, 1 lap, 1 car. I mean, he's got 30 minutes and some change in this session to get up to that front spot.
Yeah, and he certainly takes all that into consideration. In fact, when he was able to get around Moore, that almost opened up the door for Keck and the 888s there as well. And to your point, Molitor now about a second ahead of him. And Molitor is no slouch. He is a darn good road racer, so it'll be fun to see when Smith catches that 4 and how hard they slug it out. But it looks like we have a little bit of a roadblock behind the leader. Perhaps, I'm not sure if it's the 65 or the 53, maybe slowing the bottlenecking the field up just a little bit. But once Molitor and Smith, catch that 4th place machine, they're going to be right a part of this battle for the lead.
Yeah, and you see right there, Bast looking to the inside of Stoner right now. Stoner overshoots the corner just a touch. Going to be able to hang on just for a moment to that 3rd place spot in front of Dustin Bawley, but certainly was not looking to give up any position. But these guys are kind of freight training as Bawley goes off-roading there for a moment.
And Dustin Bawley goes Tony Hawk, eat your heart out, X Games style, over, literally airborne, as he currently holds on to that 4th place position.
You know, and that's one of the ones that I wish that we would have had the dash cam, the gyro dash cam, I should say, on him there. See how much that camera moved. As you can see it here, as these guys get on the brakes, you see that camera kind of roll forward just enough to just show you how hard they are getting on the brakes here.
Yeah, this is a very intricate race course. It has, your high-speed sectors, but when it comes, to the twisted turning, it had a little bit of an elevation change at times too. It really makes you get on the binders here, so you absolutely are right. You're using a lot of brake pedal at times. You got to make sure fate doesn't become a problem.
Yeah, and fate seems to be one of those things that just kind of picks and chooses what it wants to do to you.
Oh, I meant fade, not fate, like brake fade.
Oh, I heard fate, F-A-T-E, and I was like, yeah, fate definitely has a say in all of this every week. So,
oh, that is certainly part of it. As Stoner there caught a piece of the curbing, and he got it pointed up in the air there a little bit on the left side.
Yeah, it was fate that led him to jump over that curb there.
It was fate from the brake fate. And speaking of fate, look who's right behind him, knocking on the back door of the 65.
Exactly. Already up to 4th, 6 positions in less than 10 minutes on a road course, which is insane to me.
And don't look now, but he's also bringing Molitor with him as well.
Yeah, and, Molitor and Smith were 2 of the fastest trucks, as well as Schlosser, who's trying to get out as far as he can. And, Stoner having a little bit of trouble through that corner there. runs a little wide.
Yeah, the good news is he didn't run out of racetrack though. Didn't get off. Able to gather it back up. Here's one of these hard, tricky braking zones right here. You can see just how far to the left they are when they set up that corner. Their corner, excuse me. And you miss a little bit there, you're going to be in the grass, and that could be trouble in a quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you start to run the right line that you want to into the corner, if you're even carrying too much speed or brake too soon, it's going to throw off your turn in and everything, because it's all muscle memory. So, you try to do everything the same as last lap. So if you brake just a hair sooner or later, it changes completely the complexity of your line.
And then having to know how far you can go before you step over that boundary, was like you said, when you do step over that line, sometimes it isn't as forgiving. It could cost you, a top 5, top 10, or even a chance or opportunity at the win. Is Schlosser still continues to lead this, but we're focusing, or there we go, pan the camera back up to the front as he's already going through that intricate section of the race course. As he clamps up through the gearbox here, you can see now as the 53 of Bass comes into the view, just how big of an advantage 5 seconds translates to out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and certainly it's a lot bigger of a gap than it looks on an oval. It looks like they're away for miles.
And in fact, that gap, not to change the subject here again, starting to shrink and go the other way.
Yeah, and you can see here Aaron Smith also closing in a little bit more on Bass. His Bass gets loose there. That's going to open up the door very quickly for Aaron Smith to get through. And now Aaron Smith's going to be able to set his sights on the car in front of him of Matt Schlosser.
I'm telling you, it's like Predator. You're just sitting, waiting for someone to make a mistake, and he just slid the back of that truck a little bit, and Smith was able to capitalize and just shot the gap right through there. What a move by the 70 of Smith now, as that's going to move him up into that second place position. But 7.75 seconds, or excuse me, 4.75 seconds to overcome. And Schlosser has been the man to beat since we took the green flag. My question is, did he use those good years up too soon? I think we're going to find out here as this race continues to unfold.
And certainly, and Aaron Smith's also got to be thinking of that he has a ton of time. I mean, he went up 9 spots in a little over 10 minutes. So he didn't even use half of the session to get there. So, he's got 23 and some change minutes to get to Schlosser. So if he manages his tires and slowly gains on him, he's going to be there at some point. I mean, 9 laps took 10 minutes. So, I mean, you figure you still got 18 to 20 laps to go in this thing. Lap-wise, I know it's a timed event, but if you try to think of it in lap times, I mean, he went 10 spots 9 spots in 9 laps to 8 laps.
His pace is beyond optimal. You're absolutely right. But now maybe that was part of, Schlosser's plan. Look, I know I have fast competition coming, so I'm just going to go as hard as I possibly can and build out, an advantage until that, until that competition cycles towards the front. In this case, the 70 of Smith Bass, and then try to manage from there. So what Schlosser needs to do in this position is don't pay too much attention to that interval. Don't focus and say, oh, we got a truck off in the grass going like full-blown.
Benson Weaver's found himself some dirt and just trying to keep it going. Kind of just...
I mean, he is really exploring the space. I mean, he is cutting that grass. I mean, he's doing the track guys a favor.
I think he's just like, I don't know where to go to get out of the way, so I'm just going to go over here.
Might be
and
working on an
I mean, that's the hard thing about road courses is you don't really have anywhere to get out of the way. And while we were looking at that, it also looks like the 66 machine had some kind of issue as well.
Go back to the SRM instant replay.
Yeah, it just gets in a little too hot.
Yeah, he just... there's that line we were talking about. Tries to get in the corner just a little bit harder. And loses traction there. The back end steps out. But again, great control, able to grab a gear and continue march forward.
Yeah, and certainly Aaron Smith, while looking at that replay, Aaron Smith has shrunk it down to a 3.2 second lead, or 3.2 second deficit to the 400 machine of Schlosser. So he's running him down. It's down to 2.7 as I speak.
Yeah, but this is where Schlosser here can't fall into the trap. Obviously, if he's watching that time, he sees how quick Smith is running him down. But don't forget, Smith is having to use his equipment, those tires, to his brakes to make up that kind of time and run him down. The last thing Schlosser wants to do is make himself drive harder or faster than he's comfortable with, and he puts himself in a bad position. Be smooth, be out there, be efficient, listen to your spotter, and once Smith gets there, then the war starts to rage. You don't want to completely, burn up your tires and everything you have, before the 70 of Smith, gets there to you. You want to be able to put up a fight. So right now, Schlosser just needs to just manage his times, manage his equipment, make Smith, for all intents and purposes, liquefy those Goodyear Eagles to catch him, and then, let's see what happens once he gets there. And in fact, that that close-in rate is now slowed down substantially. We went from about 4 seconds down to 2. What was it, about a lap and a quarter, and now we're stabilizing just outside of 2 seconds.
Yeah, and just as you say that, he's down to 1.6 seconds now, 1.7 seconds.
Of course.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, we call it, and then he says, oh, it's almost like his ear starts burning, and he's like, oh, you guys think I'm falling back? Hold on, watch this. Hold my beer.
No, never said he was falling back, but you're right.
Or stabilizing.
Yeah, it seems like that at times. The minute we say something, the driver's like, watch this, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the virtual, oh, is Schlosser going to dive down pit road, get some service done? So that's going to leave Aaron Smith to take over the lead now, and he's going to basically just kind of hang out now. And, I wonder if that's going to force force Smith to make a decision as well to come down now or not.
Well, we've seen some excellent fuel mileages and great strategies where racing was run, on tires and fuel. This now completely opens up a different, I don't want to say can of worms, but a lot of potential different situations out there on the racetrack. Does Smith now have enough real estate built up where he can just back it down, clutch, save, and not have to stop? I wasn't sure if we were going to see, pit stops over the course of this run, but it seems like that was certainly planned for Schlosser as he hit pit road.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also one of those things, too, that, he could, if he does plan on pitting, he can open this thing up as far as he can, here to get as much of a lead as he possibly can, and then, come down pit road and have the lead when he comes back out. So, there's two different strategies that Aaron Smith could be thinking about.
Well, I think if Smith is going to pit, we're going to see it in the near future. I can't imagine, even with, the advantage. Sorry about that, folks. My son pulled my headset off there for a moment. I can't imagine he's going to let, new tires out there on the racetrack, cut into his lead, or take away from that, I should say. So if we do see the 70 of Smith come down pit road, I would imagine it would be this time by or the next.
Yeah, and I mean, if I have any kind of racing mind, I would come down this time around, because by the time he gets back to that pit road entry, it's going to be about halfway, as we're about to cross halfway in this race now at 17 minutes 30 seconds. So now we're at halfway. You can make it 17 minutes and 30 seconds, so you can come down now, get that service, and head on off. But Aaron Smith going to stay out for one more lap. At least one more lap, I should say.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder now if, with that north of a second advantage, if he can just, do one of the things he does so well, and that's go into save mode here and just go out there and still put together competitive lap times while saving a ton of juice in the box in the back of that thing. As he continues, to your point, stay out on the racetrack. And here comes the 400 of Schlosser, claiming lives out there on the racetrack, being ruthless with those 4 new Goodyears, and he is putting down some hot lap times.
Yeah, he's in the 109s, but the same thing can be said for Aaron Smith, who's... Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the best time. Oh, my goodness. Fire me now. The last lap by Aaron Smith was a 110, and Schlosser's last lap was a 111. So he's, I guess, a little bit of traffic slowed that time down, but now that he's got a clear track for at least the next 18 seconds to the next truck in front of him, he's going to probably lay down a super fast lap. Aaron Smith's coming down now as we speak. Woes it up. Definitely had to slam on the brakes there. I certainly hope he doesn't get a speeding penalty there, but we will find out certainly rather quickly. As we'll see Matt Schlosser. Oh. As Schlosser's coming down to get close to where Aaron Smith is. Coming out now of the final turn, gonna go down pit road. Aaron Smith is working his way out as we speak. We're gonna be able to see, Aaron Smith directly behind the 400 machinist Schlosser now.
And here we go, folks. Place your bets, rack, stack, and do it all over again. As now we've reversed the roles. As Schlosser is now the hunted.
Yeah, and the thing is he may have about a lap to stretch it back out just a touch because, Smith's going to be on colder tires. But once Smith's tires get up to temp and he's able to throw it where he needs to, it's going to be all guns a-blazing from there.
All guns a-blazing from there. And pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tend to my son for just a moment. I will be right back momentarily.
Yeah, we're going to pop up to Samuel Stoner under fire by Jay Bast here. And you can see Jay Bast able to get to the inside just for a touch, but not able to get there as he steps out just a little bit there. James Moore is coming down pit road, so that's going to hand over third and fourth to Schlosser and Smith now. So those two almost back up to the point spot. It looks like James Moore is on his way out now. Aaron Smith still sitting about a second behind the 400 machine, just in front of him.
Again, as we're on board, you can see the distance in that gap now, 1.78 seconds and climbing.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly these two in front of them, they have not made a pit lap or pit yet. So those two are going to pit sometime in the near future, and that's going to hand over the lead and second place to Aaron Smith and Matt Schlosser. And from that point on, I think that's when the Dukes are going to come out. All bets are off. You still have 13 minutes, so you don't necessarily want to go too early and kind of let Schlosser have that ability to kind of get to you late in this race, but you gotta figure out when that's going to be the best. When the best time is going to be.
Yeah, that's a great point. And how about Dustin Bally here in that second place position, the head cook, chief and bottle watcher, HMFIC of the league. And I just want to shout him out, thank him. He's been a pleasure to work with and communicate with over this season in that 4-night Toyota. And like the words of like their marketing slogan, let's go places. He's going to the point right now, and hopefully, he's able to drive that 24 machine home to a good finish here. It's been a pleasure working with him all season long.
Yeah, and he's certainly very communicative and communicative. Communicative. Wow, my English is bad, and I was born and raised here. Oh boy. But, he's always giving good information to bounce off of broadcast ideas, and we truly love that. We do our research and we do our, run-throughs and everything as well, but, he's always there to have just an extra mind to point things out, and it's truly a help, too. It's great when you have that kind of back and forth with league owners, too.
Yeah, always on point. Extremely respectful, and like you said, very insightful. Not afraid to throw something out there.
But certainly, he's definitely going to be pitting here eventually with Phil Keck, and I think that's going to benefit them to a point where some of these guys are going to be out here on that older stuff still by the time that they do come down. So they might have a little bit of an advantage towards some of these guys in the back. And just as I say that, Aaron Smith has found his way around the 400 machine here, and he's going to eventually be handed the lead here once those guys do make their stops. Back up front, Phil Keck and Dustin Bally still hanging out there, trying to get all that they can get. Aaron Smith just set down the fastest lap of the race at a 109.22, followed by a 109.79 by James Morris. So some of these guys finding some really good speed out here, and really going to start pushing some of these issues as Aaron Smith is just sitting 12.7 seconds off of second place Dustin Bally right now. So he's a man on a mission and certainly marching forward.
He certainly is a man on a mission, and there's nothing worse than realizing you are sitting there talking to yourself as I was calling a race all by myself as my son unplugged my mic cable there, so I apologize to you folks. But I was with it. I was calling the race, and then I realized no one's with me.
It's one of those things, man. It's you get too excited, and you can't even notice it. I know that there's been a couple times that come back from a commercial, and I hit the button to unmute, and I didn't unmute, and it's hilarious because I look over and I'm like, oh, my volume isn't moving.
Yeah, you get that feeling of, especially when you feel like you're doing a good job too, right? That's usually when it happens. And
Right.
Then you realize, yeah, I'm broadcasting to myself right now. It's a rather humbling experience. As the 70th Smith, like I was saying, basically to myself, has now gotten around Schlosser. Smith about 14.28 seconds behind Bally, who is yet to come down pit road. Does Keck potentially? I mean, I know his truck's 888. Does he potentially go or Las Vegas high stakes mode right here and go all the way and try to roll it on dice?
I mean, certainly that's one of the things that you can do, and we see Bally, he's coming down now, so that means Keck's staying out for another lap here, at the least. So, it's one of those things where you got nothing to lose necessarily other than the race itself, but Aaron Smith is going to be a hard guy to work with, so you got to find your way to stay in front of him.
And sometimes that means pulling all the stops and going for it. And we've seen, I know I mentioned this at the top of the broadcast, fuel mileage has played a role in these races. Oftentimes this season, perhaps, there's still an opportunity here for, to play a big role here again. If Keck chooses to stick out on the racetrack, remember, Smith is just shy of 13 seconds behind the leader. So, Keck can obviously manage that gap. Does, 13 seconds allow him to save enough go fast in the tank to get that thing home? Could be a really big long shot, but, each time we go by, another lap into the history books here, Keck continues to stay out.
And just as you say it, Phil Keck comes in. And that's going to hand the lead over to Aaron Smith now, as Aaron Smith's going to have about a 5-second lead over the 400 machine of Matt Schlosser. So it's going to be kind of a fight here now to see if Schlosser can make that time up as Phil Keck rejoins the surface just behind, about 3 seconds behind Schlosser now. So he's going to have a chance to possibly get moving there and possibly get that second place position back, or even just finish off here in third.
Yes, Keck dropped the Duke in my plotline storyboard with the way I was trying to possibly paint that up, but you know, sometimes it's, you know, not a problem being safe, and you know, coming down pit road there, getting service on that race truck. That's one less thing you got to worry about. Now you can just go out there, hit your marks, and get everything you can out there on the racetrack to go out there and try and run these leaders back down. Is it Smith currently out in front carrying the torch? Schlosser resides in that second place position, about 6 seconds off the lead. Then you got to go back about a eighth of the racetrack there to the triple eights of Keck, who just came down pit road but comes out in a podium position in third. And how about Dustin Bally there with a strong run there in fourth, and more in the 12s, going to round out the top 5 as they currently run right now.
Yeah, and you can see now Smith is drawing that lead out, and Keck has kind of closed in just a touch, not a ton, but just a touch on Schlosser too, and you know, Dustin Bally's right behind Keck still. So there's a potential that this whole order could get changed up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, a couple guys get to racing. You know what that does, especially out here on the road course. You know, side by side here at this race course, going to cost you a lot of time out there on the racetrack. Obviously, Keck has the freshest shoes in town, and you can see his lap times are reflecting that, as he's now a little more than 2 seconds ahead of Bally there in the 24. You know, but like you said, if the 888 has a problem, if he falters, you know, Bally is there. And, you know, same story. You know, we're still have enough time to go in this race where anything can happen up towards the front. You know, it is never over until the checkered flag flies. And how many times have you seen, you know, an ending turn out in a way that you never saw coming?
I mean, certainly just this past weekend. You know, Austin Dillon dumping Logano and then right rearing Denny Hamlin. I did not have that on my bingo board for Sunday's race.
In my opinion, that was a little more than a dump. That was firing Tomahawk missiles into a plane in the no-fly zone. I mean, he came from 4 car lengths back and said, "Hey, Joey, hey, I'm going to use you as the corner." You know, my you know, assisted corner entry, if you will, and just knocked him out of the way. However, I will say I did have flashback moments of the Intimidator driving that car. That part was cool to see. But you're right. We could certainly see something like that here. We have more than enough time.
Yeah, and I mean, time is of the essence, certainly. I want to say probably, looking at about 3 or so laps left in this thing with 350 left to go. So it's a long track, plenty of time to get to and pass somebody, but I mean, getting to Aaron Smith is going to be a tough task. As we pop back here to the 400 machine, he's kind of stabilized that lead over Phil Keck at about 4.5 seconds, and Dustin Bally sitting about 1.6 seconds behind him, being hunted by the 12 machine of James Moore.
Yeah, Moore in that EcoBoost F-150. I mean, he is poised and he's primed. He is right there. Should something go wrong just in front of him. In fact, we go on board, you can see just how close he is to Dustin Bally, especially when we get into those braking zones. That truck seems to be really good on corner entry. In fact, you watch how he attacks the corner here. He gets all of the racetrack there, and that truck seems very stable, especially going through that little bit of a downhill there, hard on the loud pedal into that DRS zone. We continue to ride on board. I'll tell you what, I would hate to drive that portion of the racetrack against these guys. It wouldn't look good. It wouldn't be pretty.
And I mean, like me, I'm not a terrible racer, but I'm not a great or good one either. But doing a stop like that, I know when I go on even just the F1 video game, you know, not even on iRacing, I have a crazy time with what is the Italy Grand Prix? I can't think of the name of it. But it has that hard right-hander to that hard left-hander just after the start-finish. No, thank you. I end up taking that as slow as possible.
Yeah, I'm not a road course racer. I race one because of Watkins Glen, and that's where I'm from. And I'm okay there. But I've watched some of the lap times these guys have, put up. And so obviously I go back and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's just load a truck in this session, and I'm going to try to go out here and turn a couple laps like these guys do. They have to have one heck of a setup guy because, iRacing doesn't have a fixed setup, for these tracks. I was like a mule on ice skates. I could forget about it. I couldn't keep it on the track. The only way I would stay on the track is if I left it in third gear and barely hit the throttle. The minute I tried to do anything racing, like, downshift, hit the gas, I was all over the place.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, when leagues come around to a track like that, which, matter of fact, my league that I run Monday nights, I'll have to take on Watkins Glen in a truck as well. And it's certainly going to be one of those where I'll maybe go down to third, second, going into that first turn, drive out of it in third, keeping the revs as low as possible, keeping the tire spin as low as possible, and just kind of hang on for some kind of points day.
Yeah, and sometimes, hey, races and weeks are like that. It's about, maybe you don't have, the winning performance, but it's about hanging on. It's about getting all you can, maintaining, just doing everything you can to accumulate as most points as you can each and every round. And that ultimately sets you up really good as far as being poised for a championship at the end of these things. If you consistently are hungry, fighting, getting all you can, each and every week. Is Smith continues to lead here over Schlosser, about 8.4 clicks behind to that 400.
Yeah, and just as we go to that, time has expired. So we're looking here at what could be the finish as we speak. Not really anybody any close to anyone. Schlosser's 8 seconds behind, and then Phil Keck's 3 behind him, and it's just been an absolute domination by Aaron Smith. Per usual, in my opinion, as he drifts it around the corner. Did you see
that drift?
Certainly a little bit of a scare there, in my opinion, but honestly, I would not be surprised if he's just throwing it around there knowing he's got it.
I mean, that was apps. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as we see him cross the line here, checkered flag in the air for Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith's going to win here at Donington Park.
Drift mode on the final lap, a half mile before the start-finish line. There he goes, SVG truck style. Eat your heart out as he's going to send it in the corner again, making it look easy.
Look, and he can drift this track better than I can do it. He's able to drift this track better than I am going forward, and I'm pretty sure he just flipped that thing around and then threw it in reverse just to do it. I don't even think that was he spun out. I think he threw it around to put it in reverse and drive it backwards.
Yeah, talk about Nitro Circus, Travis Pastrana style now. Is he's taking a play out of the Too Fast, Too Furious?
Yeah, certainly.
Get out of here.
He's got the hand out the window going, how about them apples?
Did you see how fast he took that corner?
Yeah. Again, better backwards than I can forward.
Gonna make the Blues Brothers recovery there, back to going straight again. Gonna do a little more drifting and sliding. And the Hollywood man from South Carolina, you swear it was almost scripted, but I assure you folks it isn't. The 70 of Aaron Smith. He winds, he grinds, he spins, but he wins big time across the pond in the UK. And you know what? I'm just going to be quiet here and let him just do some more drifting because this is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost bet he's a drifter in real life. But, while he goes ahead and birds it down, we do not see Phil Keck in the chat, so I don't think we're going to get a chance to speak with him tonight on his performance. But I believe that, Matt Metler, you're going to have our second place finisher in Matt Schlosser.
Matt Schlosser, Matt up in the Tony Trapassa Memorial booth. You got a copy there, bud. and we'll try him one more time. Matt up in the booth, you got a copy? And I don't think we have Matt, unfortunately.
He left the left. Let me dial him up one more time for you.
Sometimes. There we go. Matt, I got you loud and clear. Matt up in the Tony Trapassa Memorial booth. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks. Sorry about that audio issue there.
Hey, not a problem, man. It's technology. It happens to the best of us. But talk to me about this race tonight, Matt. You fired off like you shot out of a cannon to start this race off. I mean, you were driving, it seemed like you were driving really hard there at the start of this race. It was very fun to watch. And then, as the laps went on, I mean, we seen you put up one heck of a fight out here at this very technical circuit over here in the UK. How were you able to put together such a textbook race and come home with a very strong second place finish?
Yeah, I mean, I benefited from a good starting spot. Obviously, the invert. I screwed up in the heat race and finished 8th, which actually helped me start 3rd in the feature. So I was able to get like a nice clean start. And yeah, I definitely drove a little too hard and burned up the tires. Aaron, the 7E truck, Aaron was so good. He blew my doors off multiple times before and after the pit cycle, and I tried to follow him and hang with him, but he was just way faster. So yeah, it was a challenge. Like I love road course racing in the truck, and this track is really tough. And it was fun though, so I was happy to come home in second.
For sure, it was a heck of a job, out there on this very technical course by yourself. You're a lot of fun to watch. Talk to me about just how tough this course is. There's some really technical braking zones here. Was it hard to be consistent each and every lap to hit those marks? Because it seemed like if you tried to get a little bit more, you would pay dividends heavily.
Yeah, it was very tough. A lot of these turns, the brake, at least the way I was driving, a lot of the braking points are like while you're exiting the previous corner and trying to position yourself for the next one. There's a lot of like 3/4 throttle going through the first section where you just can't get the power down because it's just not enough grip, and you kind of have to takes a lot of finesse, I think, and I drove way too hard to start and learn the hard way and burned up all my stuff. But yeah, really tough, hard to be consistent. I made a lot of mistakes here and there that cost me a second or half a second on any given lap, just pushing too hard or missing a braking point. That the right, I don't know what number turn it is, but there's that blind kink, and you just kind of have to pray you're putting it in the right spot. There's not a lot of reference points, at least that I could see. So it's a fun track, but really challenging for sure, and easy to mess up.
Yeah, blind faith corner. I know that turn you're talking about that looked absolutely treacherous out there at times tonight. But before we cut you loose, let you go celebrate, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done on the 400?
Yeah, sure. First, thanks to Dustin and the people who run the league. This is my first race here, and it was really fun, and appreciate them, letting me in randomly towards the end of their season. So shout out to them, and really everybody I raced around was really clean and fun to race with. So definitely glad I found this league and looking forward to hopefully racing again. And yeah, shout out to you guys, SRM. You guys always do an awesome job, so thanks for what you do. And yeah, that's all I got.
And if I could step in real quick, I see a hometown here for you, and that tells me all that I need to know about the 400 machine here. Is being in any part of Maryland, he knows wreck avoidance, pothole avoidance, and I'm guessing he's probably been to Baltimore and DC at some point, so he knows every bit of the dangers of being around DC and Maryland drivers. So that right there is a testament to just how much training he has, and I mean, he can probably back me up on that for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I was one of those guys, being a bad driver in the first race. I I locked up my brakes and almost crashed the league owner, so that would have been a bad first impression on my first lap ever.
Yeah,
That's how you
But
make
yeah,
the best first impression. Take out the league owner. That's how you make it.
yeah.
yeah,
Us Marylander drivers, I mean, they hand them out like candy. So we have to kind of learn on the fly after we get handed basically a free pass into driving. So
That's a great point. But Matt, you've been around iRacing for a while. You're a veteran race car driver. You're very good. In fact, I've watched you get to race in a lot of different leagues, and you're always there. You're always in the topic of conversation, battling for those wins. And I think you'll fit great here in this league. Great group of talent here, very respectful, and they race hard just like yourself. And looking forward to watching you compete with these guys in the weeks and seasons to come.
yeah, I am too. Thanks, appreciate the nice words, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next race.
Well, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Schlosser always knows how to make an impact. First time going up against some of the greats in the series. He comes home P2. The man from Frederick, Maryland, Matt Schlosser, is your second place finisher. Sending it back up top to you.
yeah, and now we're gonna go ahead and have a conversation with our man that took the win and then decided to pull his best Travis Pastrana or Tanner Faust impression and drifted around the track here. And I'm interested to see. I'm gonna guess that you might be a drifter in real life there, Aaron.
I wish. I do a lot of that in these stock cars. So fortunately, I didn't wreck myself coming to the finish there. It was a little closer than I would have liked, but it was a fun race.
Yeah, I certainly know that you are one of the most dominant racers, especially on road courses that I've seen in recent memory, and even seen you. I forget where it was that you raced, but covered you in a different, either special event or some other league as well, and you put on a dominant performance there as well. So, how do you just kind of set yourself up? Not really having any kind of points to go off on this track. It's not one of the tracks that a truck normally goes to. So, like, what's your mindset on setting yourself up for success here?
Well, I have done a couple stock car races here. I think it was with the ARCA car, though, so it's not entirely applicable, but you usually just want to back up your entries. Turn 1 was a really long braking zone for some reason. Like, I kept drawing my braking zone all the way out to the beginning of the lines on the side of the road. I don't know what color they were, but I'd start around that point where the pit entry or the pit exit would be, and I would just work from there, maybe run a little deeper, further into the race, but most of it was keeping the tires under you. Only in the chicane coming to the start-finish line would I be in second gear. Staying in third for all the other corners kept my tires pretty cool there, so I think that was the biggest difference there. There were a few guys who probably could have beaten me if they did the same thing, but I was able to make it work.
Yeah, and make it work certainly is an understatement. I mean, you stay out a little longer than the 400 machine did there. And after your pit cycle, you came out directly behind him, and you just had to play the waiting game on the 888 and the 24 of Bali, and waiting for them to go ahead and make their pit stops. How do you not burn things up too early there? Trying to get past Schlosser then instead of going for it. My apologies. My brain is running too fast.
It's all good.
How do you, kind of keep yourself at ease and not try to overtake Schlosser too early and, possibly set up him to be able to kind of get back by you later in a run?
Yeah, when I saw him pit about 3 or 4 laps before I did, I had a feeling it was too early. I usually like to wait until the halfway point or maybe a few minutes after the halfway point to get my tires on the truck and kind of go back out there, so I knew I had a bit of an advantage with the tire wear because they usually drop off after about 5 laps, and that was just about the difference we had, so all I had to do is just make sure I didn't overrun my stuff, just wait, and I think he made a mistake. That's what let me get by him, but he did well up until that point. It was a little sketchy watching him drive away from the field there at the beginning. I knew he was quick in practice, quick in qualifying, and once he had that second row spot for that start after the invert, it would be a bit of trouble to get back up to him. But fortunately, everything worked out in my favor. I think he got caught up in a little bit of traffic as well, so a lot of that worked out for me.
Yeah, and working out well, it certainly did. And now you go into the last race of the season. going to be at, the Daytona Oval, and now you're going to have to play kind of a completely different strategy than you do here, and kind of just go to the waiting game and the strategy, and how do you switch your mindset from running here to then trying to calm your mind down and go to places like Daytona?
I'm not too sure, but the best thing that I can do is just get as good at qualifying as I can. And starting up front at those tracks usually helps out a ton, especially if you're starting on the inside. So I think that'll be my biggest priority, and hopefully I'll be able to pull it off next week. I think the championship's already over though, so I'll take it.
Exactly. So, before we send you on your way, we're going to go ahead and see if you need anybody to shout out or thank.
Oh yeah, I'd like to thank all the folks at Palm Rat Golf for supporting the league, and the folks at Road and Plate for having me this season. It's been a blast racing with them. I'm looking forward to ending the season next week.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Excellent interview there, and I can't say enough about Aaron Smith. When you talk to him, he's so calm, cool, chill, and collected. You watch him drive out on the racetrack. I wasn't sure if we're going to have this Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement type of hype coming out of him or not, but he's you can hear just the chill in his voice, and very articulate, always a pleasure to speak to, and you can see the similarities there. He's never phased out there on the racetrack, always has a plan no matter what the chaos may be around him, and he gets it done once again here tonight. But glad to see Matt Schlosser caught his attention there in the opening start when he started to boogie. I think Matt Schlosser is going to have a great success here with these guys. Great to see him here, but one heck of a race again put on by these drivers this evening.
Yeah, and certainly. I'm going to run through the order real quick. Aaron Smith comes home with the win. Matt Schlosser coming second. Phil Keck coming third. James Moore fourth. Dustin Bally fifth. Samuel Stoner and Jay Bass going to come sixth and seventh. Dan Ott and Devin Jack going to be eighth and ninth. Laura Wiseman finishing 10th. Tom Wendt and Sean Johnston going to come 11th and 12th. Ken Epst is going to come 13th. Benson Weaver is going to come 14th. Paul in the 109 machine is going to come 15th. Brian Molitor is going to come home 16th. Derek Fouquet is going to come 17th. And rounding out the field, Mark Royce is going to come 18th. And honestly, it was an exciting race. I mean, we saw Laura. She had a great start to to the feature. And then, we saw Aaron Smith make a run through the entire field, as well as Schlosser hanging on to that top spot for a while. And ultimately, I mean, there was a lot of action throughout this entire race.
Yeah, no question about it. Always a lot of action. And, if you never tried to go out here and turn a lap on one of these courses that these guys drive on, because I have. Now, granted, I don't have their setup. And again, tip of the hat to their setup guy, because he is something phenomenal. These trucks on these courses are tough. It is hard. It humbled myself. I won't even talk about how bad I was, but my point is, to be able to put on a competition like that and to race as hard in close quarters as they did with only a couple off-course incidents, that's just truly remarkable. And we've seen that from these guys each and every week. They put on a great performance.
Yeah, and certainly. And, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign it off here. And, as you walk through the streets of life, remember, don't play in traffic.